Well, I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it, just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are wrapped up in it. I'm grateful and thankful for this minute, this moment, this opportunity to have another time to talk to you about some good news that's good for your spirit, good for your soul, good for your life, good for your finances, good for your family. Good news is good for you. Proverbs, we tell you every week, Proverbs, it says that good news makes you fit as a fiddle. Good news is good for your spirit. Good news is good for your soul, good for your body. And so you need some good news. Now, I am grateful for each one of you who show up and share this with your friends and family members. Now, I want you to do me a favor. Start a watch party right now. Start a watch party and tell others to like it and share it. Tell everybody you know, because we want to get this message out to the lottie-dottie and everybody, and get the word out that it's time for a comeback, that we've had this pandemic, and then we started this Jolly Good News a year ago. We're coming up on a year anniversary of the Jolly Good News report because I was so concerned. I kept hearing about people who were overwhelmed by the anxiety, the pain, the grief, the concern, the fear of this pandemic. No one knew what it was going to be like. No one knew what was happening. No one knew what this was all about. We've never seen anything like this. So I started a Jolly Good News report every week. And I have yet to miss a week where I have not given you some new content. And so I'm glad about myself, pat myself on the back. All right. And so I am grateful for you, though, for you telling others about it, for you sharing this, that it's for your enrichment, your encouragement. And I give God glory for it. That's really what it is. Many people know I have my doctorate in theology, a master's in theology, my doctorate in ministry from the California Graduate School of Theology. But I never felt the call to be in the ordained pastorate, okay, as a pastor of a flock. But I always felt a call to minister, to encourage, to uplift. And by minister, I mean to help others, to bless others. I think about the Good Samaritan story. That's what always was my model, that the Good Samaritan story is there's this man who's going down the Jericho road, and he's attacked and robbed and beaten and left in a ditch. The priest walked by and said he must be drunk. The rabbi walked by and said he must be inebriated. But a Samaritan, who was the lowest of the low, who was the outcast, who was not one of the aristocracy, this Samaritan stopped and took medicine and healing ointments from his satchel and tried to help the man, and then put the man on his animal, took the man to the local inn and stayed with the man as they tried to get him to some level of comfort or recovery. And then he said, I've got to go. He went to the innkeeper and said, here's what I have now. I'll pay you what I have so you could take care of this gentleman. And anything else that you might need, I'll pay you when I return this way again. He didn't know him, but he ministered to that man. And Jesus said in that parable, who is your neighbor? Who is your neighbor? And so we learn from that story that your neighbor might be somebody who looks like you, thinks like you, acts like you, is of the same religious group, of the same area of finances. Or neighbor might be somebody who is completely, maybe even in another area of life or another understanding, but they're still your neighbor. And so I like that part, but I also like the part that there was the Samaritan who ministered. So I just tried to minister to people, to encourage them, to help those who were hurting, to heal those who were sick or broken or devastated by this pandemic, and give them some encouragement. And so we've been sharing with people good news over the last year, good news stories, good news ideas, good news about this coronavirus. And now we know that a quarter of the people in America have now been vaccinated, including moi. I'm so grateful. I got my 2 shots and I am grateful, 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 grateful. I am so excited. And so I just want to say to everybody that this is some good news. And I hope, and let me take a moment to talk about this. I hope that people are not letting their fears and not letting all the bad news on the internet, the dark web, frighten you and keep you from taking the vaccine. When we don't know what it's made of. We don't know how quickly it's made, whether it's good or bad. Well, I've been struggling with that as well. I had to struggle with that as well, but I had to make some decisions about this vaccine and how to strategically look at your risk versus your rewards, or my risk versus my rewards. I always have a risk formula. I talk about it in my book, An Attitude of Excellence. I hope you all have access to that book. I talk about the risk formula. I talk about it also in our marriage book, the same risk formula in my book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. But in my Attitude of Excellence book, I give you a risk formula, 4 questions that I ask myself when I'm about to take a risk. And I take a lot of risk. Running a business, I got to take a risk. Even leaving the house or getting on a plane is a risk. So you have to ask yourself 4 questions. And this is a series of questions that I've been verbalizing in my own mind for many years. From the time when I was a nightclub singer and I quit my job. I mean, I got fired from the nightclub job. Then I got a job with the Washington, D.C. public school system. And I did that for a year. And then I quit my job with the school system to become a full-time speaker. And I had to ask 4 questions. What's the best that could happen if I take this risk? What's the worst that could happen if I take this risk? What's the most likely thing to happen if I take this risk? Am I willing to live with the worst to get to the best? Well, what's the best that could happen if I quit my job, become a full-time speaker? I can go all around the world. I can make millions of dollars. What's the worst that could happen if I quit my job and become a full-time speaker? I could lose my house, right? What's the most likely thing to happen if I quit my job, become a full-time speaker? I'll struggle for a while. I might struggle a long time, but if I work hard enough, I'll keep my head above water. Are you willing to live with the worst? Lose my house to get to the best. Live my dreams. The answer is yes. I can get another house. As long as death was not one of the options on there, I was willing to do that. And that's what I did. I left my job. I quit my job, became a full-time speaker, June the 1st, 1991. And I'm coming up on my 30th anniversary. I've never not made a mortgage payment. I even bought a beach house, never missed a payment on that until I decided that I needed a bigger house. Sold that. And I'm grateful for all God has blessed me with. I give God the glory. And so I know, though, I have a part to play in that. God, I love this quote. Don't ask God to order your steps if you're afraid to make a move. Wow. If you're afraid to make a move. And so I believe God would order my steps, but I was willing to make the moves. I was willing to do those things. And that's the good news is God's going to do his part. You just got to do your part. And so as I look at this coronavirus, I decided risk versus reward. I got to make some decisions. And this is very challenging because we don't know all of the details, but I did know about something that I've learned over the years about the impact and the power of wisdom. The Bible says there's safety in a multitude of counselors, and that the wise will get advice from those who they respect. And so I started asking medical professionals, specifically my doctor. I didn't go on the internet. That internet person I've never met who's got all of this information that they're spewing out that people are this and that, and you're growing a third arm, and all sorts of weird stuff they're saying gonna happen to you. I have not met one of those people who is on the internet, but I know my doctor. When my body is hurting, or I've got an illness, or I've got a cold, or I got the flu, or I've got some illness, I go to my doctor. I call my doctor, and he gives me a prescription, or he tells me what to do to heal that, to remedy that. And he's never told me a lie, because each time it's gotten better. I remember one time I kept proclaiming I had the worst cold that could be possible. I'm sneezing. Eyes are running, nose is running, eyes are watering. I can't stop. I'm sneezing. I mean, I can hardly breathe. I said, he said, Brother Willie, what you've got from what you're telling me is not the flu. You have a temperature? No, I don't have a temperature. No, you don't have the flu. I can't breathe. Brother Willie, you have an allergy. Oh no, I don't have allergies. I don't have allergies. No, Brother Willie, you got allergies. You have allergies. You got to take some allergy medicine. And I was resistant. I thought I had prescribed myself what I had. I'm taking cold medicine, NyQuil, not doing anything, sneezing. He said, you got allergies. He said, you can grow into allergies. As you get older, you can grow into allergies. Your body can make adjustments, and you can become susceptible to allergies. He told me what to take. After enough suffering, I went and got it, and everything calmed down. Wow. So he's not lied to me. He's been my friend. He's been my co-worker in keeping me healthy. Told me when I need to lose weight. He told me when I need to do this, and I'm still working on that. But he told me these different things I need to do. So I called him about this coronavirus vaccine. I said, I need your counsel about the vaccine. I have some concerns. I have maybe some trepidation. He said, Brother Willie, take the vaccine. I took it. Took two shots. My wife took it, 2 shots. I'm recommending everybody I know to take it, and recommending those I don't know to take it. Take the vaccine, Dr. Jolley, Brother Willie, take the vaccine. I trusted my doc, and I took the vaccine. And after the first shot, arm was a little sore. After the second shot, arm was real sore. Had a couple headaches for a couple of days. Took some Tylenol, no problem. Feeling fine now. It's been over 7 days for the second shot. And so here's what I want to say to everybody. That you've got to have risk and reward. You can't listen to scuttlebutt. And I've been telling, I was on a phone with a number of my friends, every multimillionaire. I have a lot of millionaire and billionaire friends who I've either interviewed or I have communication with. Beyonce's dad, Matthew Knowles, and Chris Gardner, who Will Smith played in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness. Michael V. Roberts, one of the billionaire brothers from St. Louis. One after another. Sheila Johnson, I talked to her folks the other day, talked to her. All have said, we're taking the vaccine. They've taken the vaccine. So I have this running joke I tell them all about an imaginary conversation I had with a person over 50 years old. And I said, I know you got trepidation. I know you got concern. I know you got fears. But here's what I encourage you to do. Call your doctor. Oh, your family doctor. Yeah, just call your family doctor. Oh, you don't have a family doctor. Okay. Well, just call the doctor who gave you your physical, your annual physical last year. Just call that person. You didn't have an annual physical. You've never had an annual. Oh, okay. Well, call the person who gave you your colonoscopy. Yeah, as when you got to 50, you didn't take a colonoscopy. Okay. Well, call the person who gave you either your prostate exam if you're a man, or your mammogram and your gynecological exam if you've never taken those. Okay. I got it then. Here's what you do. Call the funeral home. Call the funeral home and make an appointment. Because if you have not done those things, then this vaccine, that's minor. Because you have not done the things to keep your life alive, to do the minor stuff, the regular stuff, the stuff that you've got to do to stay healthy. This is a maintenance program. You don't wait till you break down. But unfortunately, far too many people wait till they are in stage 4 of some illness before they get concerned because they've not done the maintenance. I, in fact, had a conversation with my nephew and my son the other day. They stopped by. My nephew and my son said they were in the area. They'd had a business meeting and they were coming back from there. And my son brought me some food. And we were talking about exercise. And I said, exercise is not just for today, it's for tomorrow. My father was a cigarette smoker. When I was growing up, I would be his messenger, his errand boy, because I would run to the store for him. He'd give me a couple of pennies at that point, and I'd get him his 2-pack of Camel cigarettes, no filter. My father smoked 2 packs of cigarettes per day, every day. And then in 1964, when I was a little kid, my father got lung cancer. Now back then, here's how they handle lung cancer: they take out the lung, the whole lung. They just take it out. So they took out the lung, he had lung cancer, and he went from 2 packs to 1 pack. He lived another 6 years before he died. I never saw my father exercise. Never. Because people didn't do exercise back then as a lifestyle. Never saw my mom exercise. Now, my mom lived into her ripe old age, almost 90. But nevertheless, I didn't see them exercise. That was not a habit that they had as part of their lifestyle. But when I was in my 20s, I made a decision that I was going to see exercise as part of my life. I was going to make a lifestyle decision about exercise. And from that time to this time, I've had a lifestyle of exercise. And I told my nephew and my son, I went and got my physical from my doctor. The same doctor told me to take the vaccine. I went and got my physical this week. He said, let's see, you have no cholesterol, no high blood pressure. You take no medications, a baby aspirin at night if I like. And he said, you're in your 60s. And so I said to my nephew and my son, I started preparing for that years ago. And I want to say to you, wherever you are, you might be in your 60s now, but it's never too late to start. Every day you exercise, you're adding years, you're adding health to your years. And so I'm encouraging you to take the vaccine, do the health preparedness, and do the health programs that you can use to keep from getting sick and stay healthy. Get your annual physical. Get your mammogram or your gynecological exam. If you're a man, get your prostate exam. I know it's not comfortable, but get it done anyway. Get your colonoscopy, men and women. Get your heart checked. We've had a heart scan. Years ago, we went to Chicago because we saw something on Oprah where she had done a program or expose on this place called the Chicago Heart Institute would do a virtual or a heart scan. It was called the heart scan, I think it was. And we flew there twice. We did one year, and 2 years later, we came back and did it again. And then we started finding there was some in the Washington area. We've had virtual physicals where they can do a virtual screening and look into your arteries, look into your veins and your capillary veins. I'm encouraging you that this is the time to get healthy. Now, going back to that coronavirus, I talked to Chris Gardner. He said, Willie, I know people have told me, you're going to grow a third arm. And he said, but I want to be alive to see that third arm. I love that. He said, I want to at least be alive to see the third arm. And so I'm saying to you, don't listen to all that scuttlebutt on the internet. People who you don't know, there's safety in a multitude of counselors. The Bible tells us that. And God gives us lots of risk and reward that you must make the decision. I am going to use the gifts God has given me to be logical, rational, and get good counsel from people who can help me. So I want to encourage you to understand that this is an important time, a critical time in our country. We're a year almost into this pandemic. Well, we're actually a year into when everything shut down, because it was this week that everything shut down. Our business stopped, all of the speeches. I had speeches all over the world booked on my calendar. Shoot, ended. But we survived. You're still here. Thank God. I don't just say that as a rhetorical response. Well, thank God. No, thank God. Thank God. Take some time to thank God. Give him glory. Say, thank you that you let me get here another day. Thank you. I'm grateful for every day. As Zig Ziglar said, you don't believe every day is important? Try missing one. He said, try missing one and see how you like that. And so I want to say to all of you, my friends, wherever you may be around the world, first, I want to ask you to pass this video around so people can hear my messaging, my thinking about this virus and the vaccine. I didn't die. My wife didn't die. No one I know has died. Someone said there's people who've died. I have not met anybody who died, but I know a lot of people who died from the virus. My dear friend, Patrick Ellis, the great iconic radio personality on WHUR FM, who was my dear friend. He had been there for 40 years, the #1 radio show in the Washington area for years. And we were dear friends. And he called us back in March of 2020. He said, look, I want you to come down and see my new home right on the Chesapeake Bay. And I want you to see my studio that I've been working on this for years. I finally got it ready to go. And I'm going to have I got one piece of equipment left to come in so we can broadcast right here on Sunday mornings. So we drove down and spent the afternoon with him. And it was the first week of March. It was a beautiful, brand new home, gorgeous. And a big bay window that overlooks the Chesapeake Bay from his bedroom. It overlooks the Chesapeake Bay. And then you go up one more flight. He was on the bedroom, second flight. And on the third flight, it was this breathtaking ceiling to floor windows. And his studio was there. All the studio equipment. Oh, it was just fantastic. He said, I'm expecting to get this last piece of equipment in the next couple of weeks, and I'll let you know. Maybe you'll come back. I said, okay. Well, that was the first week in March. 2 weeks later, the world exploded. It became a pandemic. Everything changed. The NBA shut down. Into middle April, he calls and says, I'm ready to do my first show. My wife said, no, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere to go see a new show, a new rollout, nothing. So I told him, but it was important because I also had something that day important I had to do for my church. So I said, I can't come anywhere that day because of something I had already committed to. And that was in April. In May, the weekend before Father's Day, he died from coronavirus. He had stayed in the house. He had stayed in his bubble and went out one time. His daughter called and said she wanted him to go with her to see a home that was being sold near his home, and she wanted him to look it over. And the realtor did not have a mask on. Patrick got the virus and died. And it was a tough death. So they asked me to speak at his service, graveside. It was hard. And so I want to say to everybody that I don't know anybody who's died from taking the vaccine. Maybe there has been somebody, but I know that over 500,000 people have died from this virus. My wife's cousins are in their 70s. One's a nurse, a retired nurse, and the other one's a retired teacher. And they said they weren't going to take it. They said, we're not taking it. And they told my wife and her brother, we're not taking it. I called her cousin. I had never called her cousin in my life. Now she's a great cousin and I love her and she loves me, but I don't call her. Dee calls her. I called her and said, let me tell you, I want to talk to you. You got 3 grandchildren who look to you. Their mother is ill with kidney issues and has to have a kidney transplant. They look to you as their source. You must call your doctor. Now, I want you to take the vaccine, but you must talk to your doctor. She said, well, I don't know. I got some health issues and I'm afraid about what would happen to me. I said, call your doctor. That's all I'm asking you. Call your doctor. Get some wise counsel from your doctor. You trust your doctor? Yes. Well, call your doctor. She called the doctor. She called me a week ago and said, Willie, and she's never called me before. She said, I wanted to call you personally. Thank you for encouraging me to take the vaccine. I took it. And I took it because I called my doctor. My doctor said, yes, I've taken it. My husband's taken his. Her doctor is a woman. Said she's taken it. Her husband's taken it, and her children had taken it because they travel a lot in their medical work. And she said, take the vaccine. She took it, and her sister, who was the older and the former nurse, who was really hesitant because this sister took it, the other sister took it. And they said, we want to thank you for ministering to us. And I said, it's like the Good Samaritan. Not the priest or the rabbi, but just a person, just a guy who said, I'll do the work that God has given me to do. So I'm encouraging you to do that. I also want to encourage you to take that vaccine and do God's work, wherever he sends you to do it. Whatever he tells you to do, do it. I want to thank you for tuning in to Jolley Good News Report. I hope you'll share this video with as many people as you can. I also want to encourage you to go to jollygoodnews.org. That's our faith-based site where we're looking for partners so we can take this message, this weekly uplifting, encouraging message to more people. So if you want to go there and get some of the free resources, please do. Some of the videos that we have there that just encourage people, please do. And then if you want to partner with us and make a donation, I'd be greatly appreciative. Whatever you can donate, just donate. We are grateful for those who donate. Any and every little penny helps. Because we're going to take this message to more people in more ways. And can't do it without friends and supporters like you. So if you just do me a favor and go to jollygoodnews.org and make a donation, I'd be greatly appreciative. Well, thank you for your time today. It's comeback time. It's comeback time for you and for me and for all of us. The best is yet to come. And I know that good is coming up the road. I'll close with this. Got my eagle. One of my favorite thoughts is this eagle. I was named the American Motivation Award of the Year for lifetime for last year. Now this eagle is an interesting character because you look at the eagle versus the ostrich. The ostrich in the tough times, in the challenging time, puts its head in the ground and says, wake me when it's over. But the eagle does something odd in the tough times. In the midst of the storm, the eagle takes flight and it flies right into the face of the storm. And it fights through the storm, it struggles through the storm, it persists through the storm until it's able to get above the storm and look at the environment from a panoramic view and says, oh, I see there is a crisis right here. There's a big problem right here. We got a challenge right there. I see it clear now, but I also see up the road. There's good up the road. There's real good up the road. And so I'm saying to you today, there's a crisis here right now. We got a pandemic, economic downturn, massive job loss, racial strife. We've got social upheaval. We got all sorts of challenges coming at us, but there is good up the road. There's good up the road. There's good up the road. Keep fighting. Keep going. Take the vaccine so you'll be able to enjoy the fruits of the time up the road. God bless you. Thank you for your time. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Jolley Good News. There's good news for you. Tell everybody to join us. every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time for the Jolly Good News Report. And then go to winwithwillie.com. Winwithwillie.com. Sign up for my newsletter so you can get my daily 1-minute motivational message. People all over the world are responding to these 1-minute motivational messages sent by video every day. And then you can hear me on audio on the Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell show at 8:20 Eastern time, 7:20 Central time, Monday through Friday on the Radio 1 network. And then, of course, Sirius XM with the Willie Jolly Wealthy Ways show and podcast. That comes on Saturdays at 4 o'clock Eastern time on channel 141. My guest today is Michael V. Roberts, the billionaire brother from St. Louis, and how he got there and what you can learn about not just now, but the future in creating wealth. Saturday today at 4 o'clock Eastern time, channel 141. It'll re-air Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. And then my podcast, you can get all my interviews on my podcast on iHeartRadio, C-Suite Radio, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts, the Willie Jolly Wealthy Ways podcast. This is a great day to be alive. Don't you agree? Because good is up the road. Keep going. Have a great day. God bless you, and may heaven smile upon you. See you later.